I'm just doing a lesson on MediBang skirts basics. I'm using the program MediBang and I am doing just a basic skirt. So I'm putting my brush to pen and I'm setting it down to 1 pixel. And now I already chose my color. You're going to want the outline color to be a bit darker than the actual skirt color you desire. Make sure to do this on a separate layer from your template. I'm using the advanced template. Alright, as you can see right now, I'm making the waistband of the skirt. You're going to want this to be a little bit curved as it's going to set naturally on your waist in normal time. So I'm just doing a little bit of a curve. This is actually a little bit much, but for the purposes of this lesson, it's fine. Now I'm going to bring that down to complete the waistband. And then after that, I'm going to combine the 2 layers just by hitting that merge down. Now I'm going to add a new layer and I'm just going to kind of go where I want the ruffles to be, or sections to be. I don't remember what it's called, sorry. I kind of wanted it to be a little bit more curved, almost as if it's like coming towards the center. Right, I'm just going to do 3 really basic ones for the purposes of this. Of course, you could do more if you wanted to. Just for me, I like using bigger ruffles because it lets me have a bigger workspace. I'm just going in and creating the bottom of the ruffles. These are not perfect at all, but I'm trying to do this a very quick lesson. Alright, now I'm just going to take this one, go from the bottom, circle around, and boom. Okay, now I'm going to start with the shading. So I'm just going to well, before I do that actually, I'm going to color in the bottom on a layer underneath with a lighter shade than what the outlines were. That way it'll show up more. That's a little bit too dark, I think. So I'm just going to line that a little bit more. Alright, this lets me see the outlines for my shading and highlighting. And now I'm going to add a new layer and I'm going to start shading with a darker color than the bottom being base. And then I'm going to make sure to have all of my shadows or shading a little bit curved because naturally you don't want a sharper line. So I'm just going to go in, going all these edges. Right here doesn't really need a little curved line because the shadow should be going on the pleats next to it. Alright, right here I'm just going to do a little bit of line right there. And then at the bottom, make sure to shade where it needs to be shaded. And don't even worry about the bottom of the ruffles currently. I mean, you can if you want, but I'm not going to. Alright, remember, soften those lines. Make sure that they're not super sharp. Alright, I'm just trying to make sure that my brush is the right size that I want. Alright, I'm going in a little bit more right here, and then I'm not even going to bother doing the other side. Alright, now I'm going to go in with these lines, and I'm just going to brush over it. This is so whenever I make the outlines a bit lighter, you can still see where everything is supposed to be. Right, now I'm going to change my brush to smudge, and then I'm just going to go in and smudge out those lines so it's a bit softer looking, not as harsh. I'm going to probably bring the size up a little bit, just so it's easier to smudge. Doing this very, very easy, it doesn't take too long. Obviously it's not a perfect method, but this is just for skirt making basics. It's not for if you want a super detailed skirt, of course, just a very basic skirt with shading and highlighting. Alright, just going in and softening those edges, like I said. Maybe a little bit more here. Alright, okay. Now that I'm kind of done with that, I'm gonna just make sure I have no more areas I want to fix, and then just check out by making the visibility of the other outline layer down so I can check to make sure it looks good. Right now I'm going to add a new layer for my highlights. I'm going to go back to that pen brush. I'm going to, oh wait, before I do that, I'm going to just color in these ruffles with a darker color because they'd obviously be a lot darker as they are just pure shadow basically. I'm not even gonna bother smudging these out because there's no point. And then I'm gonna go in and do my next stage. Obviously this was not perfect as I've said, but I'm trying to just make a very brief lesson. Right now I'm gonna go in on this waistband and create like wrinkles. So that way it adds a little bit of texture to the waistbands. These do look a little bit weird right now. No, I'm just gonna smudge them out. This isn't gonna be my best work, of course. I'm trying my best to show you guys how I do it on MediBang. Also, I'm sorry if I'm saying anything wrong or if I'm difficult to understand. I'll probably put captioning in this video, so don't worry too much. Alright, I'm just gonna go in and blur these out a little bit more. Okay, and then this part I need to up that. Okay, just going in, fixing anything I don't necessarily love. I'm adding a new layer, and I'm going to go in, go back to my pencil, and then just add a little bit on the actual waistband. That way, whenever I make the outlines no longer there, it will still be obvious what that is. Alrighty. Do I want to smudge this out? Not particularly. Alright, now I'm gonna do my highlights. And once again, I'm just checking to see if I like it without the outlines. I'm gonna change the opacity now before I do my highlights. Alright, okay, now I'm just gonna go in and do my highlights with my pen and make sure to go all the way light. Of course, you don't have to. Normally I do a lighter color, but since it's already a pretty light color, I'm just gonna go in with white. Make sure to curve it because obviously it's not gonna be perfectly sharp or anything. And then you're gonna smudge it out. Alright, a little bit curvy, you know, we like them curvy. Just gonna do this on any major part that I feel like needs highlighted. Of course, this is different for every designer. Right now, I'm gonna smudge it out. Once I'm done smudging it out, I should be pretty much done with this. Just so you know, if you want a more cartoony look, I would do a lot more pigmented shading and highlight. It should be a lot more obvious if you want a cartoony look. If you want a realistic look, you're gonna want to smudge everything out. You're gonna want everything to have a ton of texture. This is a very basic thing. It's not very detailed. It's not very realistic or cartoony. It's kind of in the middle of both. Right? That's pretty much it. I hope this helped you. And yeah.